Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast, the last one for 2024. We do have slightly limited trading hours next week. We have an early close on 24 and a late open on 25. Otherwise, it's more or less the same. Volume will be reduced for sure because a lot of traders are already on break. Nevertheless, I want to finish this weekly Forex forecast and be prepared and ready and on the ball until the last trading day to also keep the momentum going into 2025. I already did a lot of planning for next year. I went through my trades from the last half a year, did some more detailed analysis, actually posted a video to that topic where I reviewed my old trades and tried to come up with some key points where I have the biggest room for improvement into next year. We do start now on the DXY on the weekly time frame, and we see that we actually tapped into this high here to the left. We said this is the last line in the sand before we eventually move up and tap into the area of 115. However, we do see that we tapped into this level and closed within the structure again, because that's the area we were expecting price to hover around and accumulate more volume. Going down to the 4-hour time frame. Let me clean that up again here. And that's actually something we were expecting. We were expecting to get a bigger structure here. This is still possible, especially since we closed below this high again. So is it possible for price to go from here? Yeah, of course it is, but considering the run to the upside, how far it is, I would not be surprised if we see a little bit more volume accumulation in this area. However, we can take that as an indication for the other dollar related pairs, especially when we go here to the 1-hour time frame. So I would not be surprised as long as we trade here below here and we get, for example, we get some form of bear flag early Monday, that we would at least retest the base area here again. That would give us a nice move in the dollar related pairs to already participate in a short term run. And in the bigger picture, going back to the 4-hour time frame, even when prices or the DXY is coming back to retesting this space here, the long trade overall would still be in place. We just get a little bit more complex structure here and more volume accumulation, which then would even lead for a better, faster, more aggressive move into early 2025. Moving on to Euro US dollar from the positioning here. This is actually quite interesting. We are also still in that area. However, the euro dollar moved quite a lot last week, so we had here a very nice move. It did not create a new low here, and we do see more of a bullish momentum towards the end of the week, right? So we have here kind of a turnaround, and it seems like it would also make sense for euro US dollar to create a bigger structure, a more volume accumulation for the next leg to the downside. So that would also be in line with the DXY, what we saw just before. I do want to show you how well Euro US dollar respected structure. Going here to the 1-hour time frame, actually first to the 4-hour time frame. We had this on watch for a while, and I also took a trade in here. I took this 4-hour trade. You remember, some of you might remember. So we can see how nice that this pair respected the structure with the 1, 2, 3 into this liquidity area here. And then I closed the trade too early here, definitely because price here was more corrective. However, then it created a very nice continuation here again with the 1, 2, 3, better visible on the 1-hour time frame. Basically exactly the same what we had here to the left. On a bigger scale, we got again here out kind of this channel here, running channel, and then a drop out. It took some time, but we could really clearly see how price respects structure. We have here a small liquidity area. We get a 1, a 2, and a 3 with the clear base here, and then the drop. And before it actually then really dropped, we even get another one here. This one is slightly more complex and not that obvious and easy to take, because we had the wick here and we had the news event here. So therefore it's slightly higher risk, but this unfortunately was a mistrade. Not really a mistrade. It's more like to show you how it respects structure, because for me it was in the middle of the night. It was like 2 a.m. So it's not really something I would have taken anyway. But yeah, it's nice to see how price is really respecting these overall structures. Sometimes a bit faster and sometimes a bit slower. What I'm looking for now is I would not be surprised if price creeps up back here. So that would be more a drop in the DXY to retesting the base, which would then make a more complex, bigger structure into this liquidity area here in the euro US dollar before we then drop for the next long leg to the downside. Moving on to Australian dollar, US dollar, here also from the positioning on the weekly, we do see we still have we are still in a bearish momentum run, right? So this is a lot of bearish pressure, and we closed outside below this small low to the left, and we do still have a gap to the bigger, higher time frame value area down here. So I'm only looking for price to shortly finish this move here, tapping into the value area before we then potentially see a bigger turnaround or a bigger consolidation. So going down to the 1 hour time frame, that would make sense actually. We already have a bear flag, what seems to be a bear flag continuation here. It's a two touch right now, retesting the small low to the left. So it actually did everything already, and that might already be enough volume to drive price down for this last move to the downside. So this is a trade which might be ready in Asia session. So it did actually everything already necessary for price to drop at least to the low of the structure. So if I get a clear 1, 2, 3 structure here on the 15 minutes, this is very low time frame, something on after market opening, that might be something I would consider for a short-term trade. Otherwise would be nice if we get also a bigger structure, so for price to go back one more time and then get a 1, 2, 3, and that would be then enough volume to drive price down to the higher time frame value area. New Zealand dollar, US dollar looks very similar. It is not retesting anything. So we see here this is the daily time frame for New Zealand dollar, US dollar, and we do see we have a clear value area down here. There is still a little bit room to go. We are now trading in no man's land, so there is nothing to consider here, and we trade clearly below this low here. So I'm looking for price to finish the move into this value area before we then see some bigger reaction. And since we don't have any reference point here, I'd like to see a clear 1, 2, 3 structure. So I'd like to see a proper base here, price coming back one more time, and then I would consider if I get a candlestick reversal pattern on at least the 1 hour, preferably the 4 hour time frame, I would consider a short for the last leg. US dollar Canadian, we tried to get more longs over the last weeks. Unfortunately, we did not get a clear structure, but price clearly is in a bullish momentum run to the upside. We do have the value area here on this previous high. There is no clear volume accumulation on this last run up here. We had some here. Is it enough for price to move into the value area before we see some bigger reaction? Hard to say. We do see that price is stalling a little bit here on the 4 hour time frame right now. So on the overall bias, my overall bias is clear, US dollar long against the Canadian dollar into this value area. So I'd like to see also on a weighted time frame, preferably the 4 hour time frame, for price to finish a proper structure here. making another top in this regard and then come back to retest this very weak liquidity area here one more time for then the last leg to the upside. This is more than enough room for a proper trade. Euro yen, the yen pairs are they are more fickle-minded than me. I have to change my bias all the time. We do see we gained some bullish momentum there. It would make sense to go in both directions. We ended on a week going to the lower time frame. Right now on euro yen, I would still, my bias is still a little bit more to the long side against the yen right now, even if yen is definitely oversold right now and with the news. So it's really hard. So it's something the yen pairs have to be managed very aggressively. It's not something to fire and forget. So as soon as you break structure and you have a fair risk reward, then immediately move to break even or even close a trade manually. And it has to be very clean structure to enter for all the potential yen trades. So for euro yen, I would like to see at least a proper bull flag continuation, preferably a 3-touch. Actually, this would be a 2-touch retesting this area here. That's something I might consider on the 4-hour if I get clean price action here. Otherwise, would also be okay to tap into this area and then see a smaller continuation here, maybe on the 15 minutes. That would also be okay if I can manage it to this high just for a break even or something like that. Yeah, that's definitely something I would consider. Canadian dollar yen, starting on the 4-hour, very similar. They have to be managed very, very aggressively, but still it would make sense for price to move up one more time. We do have this consolidation here, which then created this liquidity area here. That's something we were looking for a while now. We were looking at this area when price approached the areas here, which we did not get actually. Instead, price sold up off but failed to continue here. Instead is now gaining some bullish momentum again. So that would make sense for price to tap into this area one more time before we see a bigger sell-off, but it has to be managed aggressively on the lower time frame. Euro Australian dollar is also a very, very interesting one. We do have proper structure. We are here on the 4-hour. Let's shortly go on the weekly time frame. It looks like after this indecision the previous week, we have some bullish momentum. We closed outside the structure, but still below this area of interest here to the left. So we are right now a bit in no man's land. Going to the 4-hour, we do see we had actually a nice structure here. So it would have made sense here initially to just tap into the area and then sell off, which did not happen. It looked after this breakout here, and when price was in this area, I was already looking again for a short continuation in this area, but price failed to commit to the downside. Instead is now accumulating more volume in this area. So everything is possible right now. I would consider a short again, but only if price starts trading below here. So if price starts to gain some bearish momentum and I get some form of bearish continuation below this area here, then I would definitely consider a short. Still more than enough room. We don't have to be first. And on the other hand, as long as we trade above this area, this could also be a base for a long play. So if price is coming back into this area, I would consider a long play if I get a proper weighted time frame candlestick reversion or a tap into this area and then on the lower time frame a bull flag continuation. I would consider a long, as long as we don't tap into these areas and see some bearish momentum. Because from the positioning, if we accumulate more volume in this area, this can take a while, can go into early next year. It could be enough to drive price even higher up, tapping into this area one more time, right? So everything is possible, but we just have to wait for price to commit into a direction. Euro pound, Euro pound here on the lower time frame, I don't like it. I'm not really a fan of trading Euro pound overall, but it is kind of interesting. We do have an area of interest here. We tapped into this area twice. We still have a gap, so it would still make sense for price to go down one more time before then turn around. And the whole thing here is kind of a squeeze, right? So we have some momentum runs in between here, but overall it's a bit a squeeze, corrective price action. And however, when we look on the weekly looks interesting actually. We do see we have two, even though the last week closed bearish, it's still quite bullish momentum here. We tapped. This one here was a clear wick towards this area, which still left the gap. And then we actually filled the wick during the week with the double bottom between, but we tapped into the first area of interest. So basically this wick is filled. And even though it's still bearish, it has bullish pressure, but we closed below the structure. We can see that here on the 1 hour time frame. So I'm not interested to trade anything in here. So if price is selling off here, I don't mind. I really don't care. But if price is creating some structure into this area and showing me a reversal pattern on this liquidity area, closing these two gaps here, I would consider a short for price to go down one more time. But on the other hand, I would not be surprised seeing this weekly price action pressure, more bullish pressure if price breaks above this high here, which would then more or less align here. And if price starting to form a bullish continuation in this area, I would consider entering a long play in euro pound. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and they are just like finishing a momentum run, it looks like, right? So we are here still in a bearish run. I don't like this gap here, but yeah, there is a lot of gaps in this pair. It's slightly hard to trade, and we see we have like bearish run, consolidation, bearish run, doji again, consolidation, bearish run. So maybe we see something similar again, but we are trading below this low here. We are basically trading through this area, and it would make sense for price to close this or fill this wick here to the left. Going down to the 1 hour time frame, we do have some reference points. So if I get clean price action on the 1 hour with the 4 hour entry, which here is because you can see we still have a small gap here. We are trading through this area here, through price. It's not on top or above it, so it's through it. It's not perfect, but if we get a clean structure here with the proper base and price coming back one more time, I would definitely entertain a short trade in this area. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, it's basically the same here on the weekly time frame. It's what I don't like is we ended on a wick on both sides. It's not a doji. The body is too big. It would be enough with this area of interest here to the left for price to turn around. That is possible, but we have enough reason to drop further. We have a bigger value area here, a higher time frame value area. The low of this structure is clearly not reached yet, so we are in the middle of the structure lows, going down to the 1 hour time frame, and we do see that New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar is also respecting structure fairly well. We had here this bear flag continuation, which started to turn around on the previous high. We are also trading through the previous low, the bigger area of interest here to the left. We do have a liquidity point here, and price is starting to stall. It's a bit undecided. So if we get a proper structure into this liquidity area, similar to Australian dollar, Canadian, I would entertain entering a short here for the last leg to the downside. And now we have New Zealand dollar, yen. That's just one I'd like to show you, similar to euro US dollar, how it respects structure. It's not on my watch list for next week, like this one is. So this is the 10 I have, 2, 4, 6, 8, these are the 10 pairs. New Zealand dollar yen is really just as an example. Now I'd like to show you the trades, the potential trades from last week. We had here this liquidity area. We had a gap which was not filled yet. We saw price came up, started to turn around, and then here traded below this area of interest here to the left, and then created actually quite nice structure. The first one was kind of a failed structure because it started to gain momentum. So the first trade was slightly higher and more advanced to take, but the second one here trading on the low here was actually almost picture perfect. We had a liquidity area here to the left. We had a 1, 2, 3 proper structure, proper base, a turnaround, a bearish candlestick pattern, and a very nice trade, then a short trade, which actually played out. Took a while before it actually committed, but it's just to show you how nice some pairs respect structure overall. However, yeah, I don't have any forecast for this for next week. We have other yen pairs on watch for next week. That's just something for people who want to reconstruct the strategy or the approach of trading flag patterns or however. Thought that might be interesting. Otherwise, this is my general watch list for next week. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye bye.